So this is Silsby's farm, and they used to have cows and everything out here. It was amazing when I was a kid growing up. We'd come up here all the time, and just down that street is where I grew up, Old Groveland Road. And you look back and there's Carter's Ice Cream, and right in that corner the bus would drop us off, and I'd cross over and walk down the road about a half mile to my house. So it's such a nice day out here, I'm telling you. It's so pretty. So the owners have died and they kept it as a farm. And so now they just hay it. It's not like how it used to be. You see some cows, I think. I think the cows are gone, really. But they had a dairy farm and everything out here. And if you look way over there, far off, you can't see it, but that's where we were yesterday on service. And that picture from where we were yesterday over to this way, where the snow was, is the ski tow that I had showed you. So it's like, it's amazing. It's quite like a little valley that comes in. And that street we were on yesterday is called Seven Sisters Hill. So a lot of people with a lot of money come out here, I guess. And Haverhill is like 32 miles square, and it becomes like country area, and then it's like a city-like area. It's pretty nice. It's really pretty nice, but just stop for a minute. And there's the farm. Used to be Brad Silsby ran this with his dad, and across the street is Mike Tardy's old farm. My dad used to work at that house. So when I was a kid, I'd come up here and hang out with the farm guys, and they had all these mid-50s Fords. So the story was that me and one of my buddies were in the back seat of one of their cars, and we were down this hill, all the way down, flying down that road to the railroad beds, and they would play chicken. And I was in the back seat, bouncing around like crazy. And I must have been about 12 or 13 years old. And we're down on these railroad tracks. It was like abandoned railroad tracks, so there was no tracks on them, just the road. Or something like that, from what I remember. But I remember, like, they're flying. They're doing probably 50, 60 miles an hour, head on. And then at the last minute, they weren't playing a real chicken, they were playing fake chicken. They'd swerve out of the way, and it was a lot of fun, I'll tell you. It was kind of crazy. I did a lot of crazy things as a kid. But it's nice to have been able to have stayed around here all these years. So then, if you look way down to those buildings, way in the distance, when I was an apprentice in the union, I worked there for 2 years. So it was like walking distance from where I am. And up in here, this is the old Peel farmhouse. I used to come up here, and it's altogether different, but there's 66 acres of land up here. So I came up here, and the road is where their old driveway was, and it was Mr. and Mrs. Peel and their 3 kids. They're the boys. It was John, Norman, and David. And I got chased by a bull up here. Oh my goodness, it was a lot of fun. We'll see how this keeps going. It's not the best steady video, but it's very pretty out here. And it's such a nice spring day, my goodness. I haven't gone for a walk in, I don't know how long. So I'll just turn back. And one day, me and David Peel had walked from downtown to where I live down there, but David's house was here. And my dad asked me to pick up some bananas downtown. He said he wanted like 3 or 5 pounds of bananas, and so they put them in a brown paper bag. So David and I were walking, and we're right about here, and a cop comes from that way and goes up this way past me and pulls over, comes out, walks over to where I am, and says to me, "What do you have in the bag?" And I looked at him and I said, "Bananas." And he looked at me like I was nuts. And he grabs the bag, he opens it up, he thought it was a 6-pack of beer, because it was that type of brown paper bag, and he just turned around and walked away. And I was a freshman at the old Haverhill Trade School. I was like 14 years old. So, you know, we all have experiences in life that happen, don't we? You can look way across over to the other side of town. Amazing, you know, when you look at it, it's really like something else. I mean, look at this. So I got this warning that my battery is starting to fade out a little bit, so I'm just going to keep going with this as long as it lasts. I think I got like 7.5 minutes on this video. And I deleted a whole bunch of pictures the other day to try to get space on this so I didn't get backed up on a short video. That's part of their farm over there too. You would have liked seeing this back in its heyday, because they had everything out here. I mean, I remember coming up here as a kid, and it's like a generational type farm thing. It's locked in with the government where they can't house it, so it has to stay as farmland. But I'd walk this route from downtown. If I missed the bus, like I told you about years ago, I'd walk. And sometimes my dad would spot me, or somebody I knew would spot me, pick me up. And I think I tried fake thumbing a ride a few times, but I didn't have the guts for that. I tell you, it's a real New England town. So my dad had a return visit, excuse me, in this house. And I think it's like just rentals now. I don't know if anyone lives here. I think there's one brother left who has the farm. I remember going down here years ago as a kid. And you know, the grass is starting to green up. Do you believe that? This is an old farm. Now this guy, Chris's farm stand, I think he plants it. They got some like co-op thing here, I guess that's what it is. So he'll have the vegetables out here in the season, and then in the fall he'll have like pumpkins. And so he kind of got this thing going. He's pretty good at it. Look at that. So further on beyond that, I don't know if you make it out, but the river is beyond that, the Merrimack River. And that railroad bed is where we went chicken driving. And some of these houses here are the old houses that were put in because I think the workers came down, from what I remember, and they built these small houses. It's like the, I don't know if it's the western end of Haverhill. I'm in the Bradford section, so if it's West Bradford or South Bradford, but I'm only like a mile or two from the Groveland town line. It's not a bad area. Because the story was that I guess people from Ipswich or Rowley came out here and settled into these little houses. So they have this as their backdrop. So I probably walked about a half mile so far. This is one of my old buddies' houses. It was the Budnick family, a Jewish family. And Mr. Budnick was a butcher. And I'd hang out with, I think it was Bob was his brother. We called him Butch. And I forget his other brother's name, but I'd hang out with those guys. And they had money way back then, my goodness. So what happened was Bob Budnick, he died a few years ago, and he was very young when his dad died. He never took it too well. I think he had a breakdown. He wound up being drafted, and he was never the same ever since then. But his dad did not like the witnesses. I remember going in the house and hanging out, and he was kind of quiet around me because he knew I was a witness. So a brother, Stu Smith, in Haverhill South, started a study with Bob Budnick, his oldest son. And the father calls the hall, figures out, this is back when it was just one congregation, and gets a hold of Stu Smith and reams him out for studying with his son. So that was that. I remember going there a few times and trying to talk with him because I knew him. He was a good guy. He really was a good guy. So this house, I used to hang out down here in Maynard Ave with some friends of mine.